Welcome to Nurse Burnout Solutions, the podcast for nurses ready to trade exhaustion for energy. I'm your host, Betty McLean. I'm a nurse with over 20 years of experience, and I'm also a certified life and certified burnout coach. I'm here to give you practical tools, share some inspiring stories, and offer real support for recovery from burnout. Welcome back. Today we are going to talk about belonging. Belonging is a core human need from the time we are an infant to the time we die. Social connection and belonging is so vital. Studies show that it actually improves our health as much as things like quitting smoking and regular exercise. Studies have shown actually that our brain interprets social isolation as the same way as physical pain. And lots of studies have been done by very prestigious schools about belonging and increased job performance, less turnover, fewer sick days, right? When we feel that we belong, we perform better. Our body it has less stress, our mind has less pain, and we're able to perform better. So, what triggered all of this for me to start thinking about was if you're on TikTok, you've probably heard about this group seven phenomenon that's happening. I think it's probably filtered out into some of the other social media platforms as well. And really, it was just one gal was doing an experiment to see which of her videos would go viral. And the one that she labeled Group Seven went viral. But it's so fascinating to watch what people are making it mean that they are in Group Seven. They're the in group. They saw the viral video. And it was a good video, but it wasn't anything, special or spectacular. But it was this touch point where people are rallying around and creating a sense of belonging, right? And it's just fascinating, and I think it speaks to how painful it is to feel isolated and other, right? And the way that I want you to think about this is there are things that you can do to lessen that pain. So, we're going to talk about where belonging starts when you're an adult. We're going to talk about how belonging doesn't mean assimilation, it's not the same thing. And we're going to talk about loneliness, what it can signal for you, and how to use it rather than wallow in it. So, we're going to start with belonging. It's an inside job. So when we are children, when we are our babies, our family has to provide that for us. And for some of us, you didn't get that. You didn't get that sense of full acceptance, full unconditional love and belonging. And a lot of people didn't get that. And that carries through into your teenage years, your young adult years, and onward. Even for the people who do have a wonderful sense of belonging to their family and that support and loving connection that it forms, when you get into high school and young adulthood, the brain wants to recreate or change how we belong. It wants to look at, do we still belong here, and who can I belong to next? So this idea that we're born, we belong, end of story, really isn't the human experience. The human experience is we should belong, but we might not, and we're going to reevaluate whether we belong at every stage of life. So, my challenge to my life coaching clients and to you is how about we take that need to belong and we start on the inside. We start with, I belong to myself. This does not mean that we're not going to look for other people to be in community with, but how much do you love yourself? How much do you accept yourself? How much do you enjoy your own company? If you have not thought about this, I would love for you to just sit down and journal out, do I like my own company? And then answer honestly. Yeah, I love my own company. I love my choice in music. I love my choice in hobbies. Or no, I hate being by myself. I'm boring. I'm too negative. I don't have anything fun to say to myself, right? Do you belong? Do you enjoy being with yourself? That's going to, as an adult, that's going to set you up really well to integrate into social groups. So when you can accept yourself, your flaws, your quirks, your hobbies, all of it, it's going to be a little easier to integrate into social groups. And this leads me to my next point, which is belonging does not require assimilation or agreement. Now, what often happens is people are not self-aware or really understand who they are. They don't belong to themselves, and they are looking to a social group or something outside of themselves to give them joy and meaning and purpose and to say, you're good, we like you, all of that. Whereas if we can start with, I like myself, and then we go find those social groups, it is a much more natural and a much more comfortable way to interact with the world if you accept yourself, if you belong to yourself first. Because if you find a social group that you want to belong to, say are finding a new church and you're like, I think this is where I want to be, you can go in and you can assimilate and take on all of their values and all of their, this is who we are, this is what we stand for. You can take all of that on. But if you don't know who you are first, you might actually be covering up some of your own values. We do this with friend groups. We do this with jobs and workplace environments. We go in and we are so desperate to belong to that social group, to belong to that hobby group, or to belong to the people at work, right? You move to a new unit and you're like, I just have to fit in. I have to belong here, right? We're so desperate to belong that we allow the culture of that group to maybe override what we actually value and who we actually are. And maybe we have some quirks or some mannerisms that we think are fine, but the social group says are not fine. Well, and then we have some disagreement there, right? And that feels awful. And we have to decide, do we let that behavior go or that quirk or that sense of humor because the social group doesn't like it? Or do we stay true to our authenticity and we say, okay, I know you don't like this about me, but I do, and I'm not going to just ignore it. This is, I'm not saying you get in a disagreement and be like, I'm allowed to use whatever humor I want, right? Just because this social group doesn't like my humor, poo on you, whatever. It just means be aware. You can still belong to that social group. You can still belong to that new work group and just allow them to be them and you stay true to you. This is much easier when you already like yourself, when you already belong to yourself. This is the essence of how good boundaries work. Is you say, well, this is important to me. This value, let's say, is important to me. And I'm going to allow you to have your values and I'm going to have mine. And in most cases, if you have a organization that you want to be a part of, a social group, a hobby group that you want to be a part of, most of the time you're going to find a place where you fit without changing your values or what you believe. As long as you know what your values are and what you believe, right? It all goes back to, do you belong to yourself? Do you belong to yourself first? Because if you do, you can show up at a new work, at a new church, at a new social group, and you can belong. You can be yourself authentically and accept the other people that are there authentically because you belong to yourself first. Okay, so let's talk lastly about loneliness. Loneliness is not a sign of failure, in my opinion. Loneliness is our brain sending us a signal via our emotions. So when you are feeling lonely, it is your brain saying, I need more social connection. I need more authentic connection. And the way I'm going to get you off the couch to do that is by making you feel lonely. Because we know our thoughts create our emotions, and our emotions are what drive our actions. So if your brain can get you to feel lonely, then ideally you would act on that. You would call a friend. You would be like, you know what? I'm feeling really lonely. I'm going to invite a bunch of people over to have dinner. Like, I'm just going to do it. Or you're going to get on Facebook and be like, who wants to meet me at the coffee shop? I'm going to be there for 2 hours. Let's go, right? Somebody come join me. Let's sit down and talk about the weather, right? It doesn't matter. I just need social interaction. And the the more that you can notice, oh gosh, I'm feeling lonely, and take that as a signal, hey, I need to reach out to my people, the more that you can really understand, like, you're taking really good care of yourself and you are creating that belonging that you so need, that we all need. And when you're feeling lonely and you reach out to a friend, you're helping them belong as well, right? So it's a win-win for everybody. Yes, if you reach out to one friend and they're busy and they say, I can't, it might feel bad. But again, that goes back to my first point. Do you belong to yourself? If you belong to yourself first and primarily and always, then that loneliness, it's not something bad. And you can be like, yeah, that person's busy. Cool. I'm going to keep reaching out. I'm going to I'm going to go create new friends. I'm going to find a new social group. I'm going to find a new place where I can feel belonging. And that might not even be a structured thing like a church or like work. It might be you go hang out at a particular coffee place several days a week. It might be you go to the park and you make sure to say hi to every single person that walks past you, right? The way that you specifically benefit from social interaction might look different than someone else, and that is okay too. Again, the important part is you belonging to yourself, you taking excellent care of yourself, and knowing that loneliness is just that signal that says, yeah, it's time to reach out. So that is the podcast for today, me rambling about belonging and loneliness. And I just want to say, you belong. I'm so glad you're here. You're listening to the podcast. You have value and worth, and the best thing you can do is show that to yourself. Find those things about yourself that you love and that are important and beautiful, and then reach out and share it with the world. If you are struggling to feel like you belong and you don't know how to change that inner world, let's talk. We can do a free burnout discovery call where we talk about where your particular struggles are and whether you would benefit from my style of life coaching or whether you might benefit from some other resource that I might be able to help you with. So if that's of interest to you, you can go to my website, bettymclean.com, and you can look for the book a consult button and we will talk. Otherwise, just take really good care of yourself and take care of the people around you so we can all just belong together. Talk to you next time. Thanks for listening to Nurse Burnout Solutions. If today's episode helped you, be sure to subscribe so that you never miss a new episode. And if you know another nurse who could use some encouragement, please share this episode with them. Finally, leaving a quick review helps other nurses find the support that they also deserve. For more resources, visit me anytime at bettymclean.com. I believe all stress is manageable and burnout is not inevitable.